It's 3 days since the election. MP Tony Windsor is on his way to Canberra after overnighting at a modest pub in East Sydney. Today will be his first meeting with the other independents since polling day.
My role is really about just keeping people calm. And not only the people that are in the card game at the moment, but people outside that are petrified of this situation.
You say this is like a card game. Are you a good card player?
Well, I used to be at school. I was also a bookmaker at school.
So what are the odds?
The odds of success?
Yeah.
I'd say 3 to 1 on.
The 3 independent MPs converging on Canberra look likely to hold the balance of power. Bob Katter makes it clear he plans to make use of the sudden attention.
No, you listen to me, because really we have had it up to here with the media. You people have given a run to every single idea known to man except us. And we got to a stage under successive governments where every 4 days a farmer in Australia was committing suicide. Did you ever give us a run? No. Now that we've got a bit of power, you'll be listening to us, my friend, not dictating to us.
Yeah, that's right.
The idealist, Rob Oakeshott, is pushing for cooperation between the main parties.
I would hope consensus politics can at least get some airtime for the next few days.
Julia Gillard had arrived in Canberra the day before.
I want to assure everyone that those negotiations will be conducted diligently, with integrity and properly and in good faith.
Here he is.
While Tony Abbott was already trying to convince the independents he was ready for a new style of politics.
I think we can have a kinder, gentler polity. I think we can be a more collegial polity than we've been. I think that the spirit of Parliament has been needlessly confrontational, and I think that
Tony Windsor isn't persuaded by Abbott's conversion. Is that the Tony Abbott that you know?
No. And I think Tony Abbott's body language suggests that they're the words that he's got to say rather than the words he actually believes.
Tony Windsor. Did you just see our third arrival?
Yes, he was very good. He was very good.
After his outburst at the airport, Bob Katter is the last to arrive.
Welcome, Bob.
Graham, can you... yeah.
Hello, Bob. Thank you. Give me that phone.
Congrats on the result, too. Congrats on the result. Graham, I know you did it all by yourself. Tony just talks to
that phone
and congratulations.
We managed to just get our nose in front. We've got a big nose.
And you know what I'm trying to do. Yeah, and I understand.
Oakeshott is on the phone trying to sell his idea of a unity government to Tony Abbott.
What are we doing is, can Oakeshott throw his phone
You
away?
and I are the only
Or do we throw him away?
Hey, Rob.
Buckshot.
Hey!
Hey, Buckshot.
Well done. Congratulations.
Fantastic result.
You're back.
The 3 amigos, as the media begins calling them, had worked closely together in the previous parliament. They immediately set out a common plan of attack.
Yeah, you guys are comfortable. We go down, we meet, the press come in, get their photos, and then we clear the room and we do our stuff.
Press conference. No, seriously. Press conference,
And then sometime after that, we try and have a courtesy meeting with Gillard and Abbott.
Yeah.
That sound all right?
Hey!
The media are brought in to photograph the independents together, presenting a united front to both leaders.
How close? Yeah, thank you.
Do you think that the leaders would rather deal with you individually? Will they try and pick you off? Would they prefer to deal with you separately?
I think if we were separated, there'd be attempts to weaken the arrangement.
If we were all elected brand new on Saturday and found ourselves here, this would be a mess.
Is there a key issue that is for all three of you at the top of the list?
Stability.
And what does that mean?
Well, endorsing a government that can actually serve out the majority of its term.
Without that, we're all wasting our time sitting here. I wonder if they're going to call an election in 3 months' time. What are we wasting our time? Whatever they promise us, they won't deliver. They cut our throats at the first opportunity.
A public campaign to influence the independents' decision is underway on Talkback Radio.
Labor barely attracted a vote in those areas where the independents have been voted in.
We have a new coalition in this country. The little comrades of the Labor Party and the Greens are all dited together, the Commie Coalition.
I did some radio this morning with Steve Price and Andrew Bolt. And I was explaining to them, look, this is a pack of cards we're being dealt. We're trying to deal with this. Everybody just have a sleep for a while. We'll work through it. But we've got to lift our sights above whose preference was who and whose. They'll all come into play. They'll all be part of the mix. But the main game is stability. And even he was, I could hear him waffling on afterwards.
You like saying the main game is stability, you know?
Is there someone else here? Yeah, well, that was an important point I just made. I'm glad I made it.
Behind the scenes, the mercurial Bob Katter is already proving difficult to rein in.
There's no way to do this except legislation.
The independents' first move is to put a list of formal requests to both leaders.
The first one's the critical one. We seek access to information under the caretaker conventions and seek access to economic advice from the Secretary of the Treasury, Ken Henry, Secretary of Finance, David Tune.
Throughout the campaign, the coalition had refused to submit the costings of their policies to Treasury. Now the independents are trying to force them to do it.
That's the one.
We haven't actually got the word costing in there, have we?
We've got impact.
But they can...
Including the impact,
and
including
costings.
the costings and impacts.
Yeah. Are you comfortable with that, Bob? First paragraph. Number 1.
It seemed right to me. What do you want to change?
Well, we'll just
Putting in the word costings.
Yeah,
Including
absolutely.
The costings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's good.
I'll go and get all this tidied up. We're on time. Okay, I'll be back
So
in one
it's on
second.
both documents.
Just in terms of the letter,
Staffers rush to prepare drafts of the separate letters.
this I just thought we should have original for each of them. Oh, fuck, I've got to get rid of that. Or is it okay if a copy goes to Abbott? Or do you want an original to each of them?
It would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Let's get going. Where are we going?
All right, we're going.
It's their opening gambit. As well as the costings, they want meetings with ministers and heads of departments and a commitment to parliamentary reform.
We're at least part way down the road of finding out the things that we need. We need to establish where the budget bottom line is. What are we actually talking about here in terms of the promises that were made during the election campaign by both sides?
We need to bust a move.
He's a hit man.
They're due in the Prime Minister's office for their first meeting.
Where's Tony? We've split. Oh, Tony's gone that way. Classic independence.
Julia Gillard agrees in principle to allow the independents access to Treasury costings of Labor policies.
Some light reading.
Beautiful. Thanks for that.
Did you do the whole thing?
Nah, I didn't.
Tony Abbott is more wary.
works now. Hey guys, how long have you been waiting there?
After the meetings, Oakeshott and Windsor meet to compare notes.
I didn't pick anything up from Julia Gillard, but Abbott, when he got into a few tough spots there, he gives himself away.
Now, the Prime Minister has just released her response to these demands from the independents.
My predisposition is to amend the conventions as necessary to facilitate the request of the independents. In making those amendments, obviously, I would consult with Mr Abbott.
We're yet to hear what Tony Abbott's response will be on that, but clearly he'll be under pressure to do just the same. But there are 6 other requests.
Round one.
None of the independents expects a resolution that night. They plan to fly home to their electorates. They don't know that Abbott is about to call a late press conference to reject their request.
Are you scared of what Treasury will find in your policies?
No. The point I make is that I am only too happy to give the independents full and complete access to my shadows and to Horwaths, the accounting firm which fully costed our policies.
So, Mr Abbott, those are the briefings that go to government when they come in.
The ABC caught up with Bob Catter at Brisbane Airport.
Bob Catter, your reaction first of all to Tony Abbott's decision not to submit coalition policies to the Treasury for costing.
Well, I mean, the reaction of everybody in Australia would be, what's Tony got to hide here?
Within 2 days, Tony Abbott is forced to reverse his decision. Bob Catter is back in his vast electorate in North Queensland.
It has been terrible for me over the last 15 years in the federal parliament to see people don't react to pain at all. They couldn't care less how many people in Australia commit suicide or go bankrupt and lose everything.
He says he's driven in politics by the suffering in rural Australia.
I just find it difficult to sort of keep going without having a rage in my soul.
Charters Towers has been Catter's home for more than 30 years. He won the seat with 68% of the vote. His constituents largely trust his judgment.
I'm always happy with Bob.
And do you
we
mind,
all love him.
Do you mind what he decides? You're going to leave it, trust him to get it right?
Yes. Whatever he decides, I have my views what I would want, but whatever he decides is okay with us.
Well, there's one way I don't want to go, but if he chooses that way to go, I know it'll be the right decision.
Catter insists his vote will go to the side which offers the best deal for rural Queensland. But he's concerned about the prospect of a deal between Labor and the Greens.
I've always promoted myself as the anti-Greens member of Parliament. A lot of the damage and wreckage done here has been done by a Greens mentality.
What we've seen this week is Bob Brown talking about the possibility of some formal arrangement between Labor and the Greens. Can you be part of a government that is also a Green government?
That would make very great difficulties.
The protagonists arrive back in Canberra, this time planning to stay for the week. With the seat count still incomplete and the coalition ahead by just one, the independents are still in the box seat to choose the next government. Bob Catter has brought in a new team of advisors, including colleagues from his time in the Joh Bjelke-Petersen government. Their first advice is to stop criticising the coalition.
Yeah, no, I've toned down. There was a reason for that last week. I wanted to get, through to the people anger and hurt and what they'd done to us. But that's done now. I think you're dead right.
Katter takes a call from senior Liberal advisor Rick Brown, who's also joining his team.
Mate, I'm going to have to take tonight off and draft up the stuff you've given me.
Behind the scenes, these new advisors are urging Katter to distance himself from the other independents.
We need to address a changed paradigm for not only rural Australia, but Australia as a whole.
We all want to achieve those objectives. We want to make sure that there is a better return to the regions, there are better...
The National Party's MPs and senators are also in Canberra for their first meeting since the election.
Well, Mr Katter has been critical of me from time to time, and I've sometimes felt it necessary to respond.
The three independents all won seats previously held by the Nationals. The history of bad blood between them has the capacity to destabilise the coalition.
That's an issue, you know, because I've had phone calls from Liberals saying this is an opportunity to wipe these guys out. So everybody's using their own
agendas.
Yeah.
Truss has clearly identified broadband to regional Australia as a defining issue for the independents and is trying to spruik the benefits of the coalition's cheaper, pared-down policy.
Let
me just ask you this. We've just sat through a long press conference by the Nats. They say that they have delivered substantial achievements to the bush. Is that how you guys see it?
I defy them to name one. That's all I'm asking. I just defy them to name one.
They're also saying that they're going to rely on private investment to fund national broadband into the regions. Now, you've had some experience with that. What do you say to that?
Well, they said that on the sale of Telstra, that the private sector would provide into the smaller communities. It's absolute nonsense. They won't, because there's no money there.
Oh, OK, she's just said if Tony's going to make it this Thursday.
As the week gets underway, the independents are inundated with calls from special interest groups wanting their issues placed at the top of the wish lists to the leaders.
Yeah, they're all in Canberra, so they're not likely to leave maybe till sort of the end of the week at this stage.
I think the Rural Health Alliance is one group they want to listen to.
People aren't about being greedy, they're just about getting similar and reasonable access to basic health services.
For these regional health professionals, broadband is the key issue, and only high speeds can deliver the internet health revolution they want.
And we hope we can get broadband. We need it to be affordable and we need it to have reach. We would want to be able to video conference, we'd want to be able to get x-rays digitally delivered, and we'd want more than one person to be able to use it at a time.
Have we got that written down somewhere?
We will.
Will this get us to where we want to go?
While their departmental briefings are about to begin, the pressure on the independents to come up with a decision is intensifying. These are complicated questions that you're asking. It's really the entire gamut of government policy. Is the country going to lose patience with you while you get all this information?
Well, they may, but that won't make a lot of difference to me. I didn't ask to be put in this place. I want to make a reasoned decision. I would like to think that regional Australia would be very pleased to have some regional members in this position.
The two-party preferred vote in the election count has gone up briefly in the coalition's favour. Some radio shock jocks and newspapers are calling it game over.
Are these three independents seriously for one moment, let alone one more week, talking about delivering Australia into the hands of this lot again?
News Limited in particular seem to be running a concerted campaign against the independents for even considering striking a formal agreement with Julia Gillard and the Labor government. We haven't made up our minds in any way, but News Limited seems to have made it up already.
Next
Oh, how are you? Pleased to meet you. Rob Oakeshott.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my place.
Nice to
While the media wars rage, climate change is about to enter the equation. Windsor and Oakeshott take their first meeting of the day with one of the world's leading experts, British climate economist Lord Stern.
And Tony Windsor, my colleague.
Oh, very nice to meet you,
Pleased to
sir.
meet you.
I'm Nick Stern.
Yeah, welcome, Nick.
Thank you. It's very kind of you
Pleased to have you.
to meet me. Thank you.
Bob Catter is conspicuously absent.
And
I just spoke to
met
someone.
Penny Wong and Malcolm Turnbull.
Stern has been encouraging Australia to join in a global carbon economy or risk getting left behind.
You've got so many advantages in this country. You know, you've got so much sunshine and you've got so much land. You've got a much bigger potential for reforestation than most other countries in the world.
Stern urges the independents to make use of their new political power.
Oh, well, look, I mean, you guys are taking such important decisions, and it's an exciting moment. And
It is.
It's one where I think, very much as an outsider, obviously, but it looks that Australia's got so many advantages, and this is a moment where, on this issue, you could really say, look, we're taking a 10 or 15-year view. This isn't the next 5 minutes of this particular politicking. We're taking a 10 or 15-year view.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Lord Stern isn't the only one bringing the message. Waiting in the lobby is Australian climate change economist Ross Garnaut. Contrary to the public expectations of these two former nationals, climate change proves to be one of the crucial elements in their decision.
But, certainly appreciate the work you've done so far, and sorry we haven't done our bit.
Later that evening, Tony Windsor emphasises what an important day this was.
I think today may well be a day that we remember in a week or 10 days' time when we've finally made a decision. I think there are a number of not only local and national issues addressed today, but international issues and the consequences of long-term climate change, etc. I think we met some people who gave us some very good advice today.
Do you want to sit in on this?
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, as long as your phone's switched off,
Yep,
it's
just
no
turn that off.
problem. Bob, what I'll do first off is just get a level to make sure it's sounding all okay. You're meeting with Ken Henry, I think, today, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yesterday you had meetings with Ross Garnaut and Nicholas Stern, is that right?
I did, the others did.
Did, right.
I don't have a great admiration.
No, you
Really
passed
thought it
on
was
that one?
a bit of a waste of time, yeah.
Okay.
On air, Catter spells out why he avoided the climate change meetings.
Did you go to those meetings as well?
No, I think their positions are fairly lightweight to those two people. And I most certainly respect my colleagues. They wanted to hear their viewpoint. I've heard their viewpoint on many a times, and I simply disagree with them dramatically.
Walk over.
Appearing to drive a further wedge between Bob Catter and Labour, on Wednesday morning, Julia Gillard and Bob Brown sign a formal deal between the two parties.
Congratulations, thank you.
Hi there, it's Narelle from Bob Catter's office. If somebody could give me a call back, 0415 467...
The news of today is the Greens and Labour signing up to a form of alliance. You said to us before that would make it more difficult to back a Labour government. What do you think now?
Well, we're getting information supplied to us that it's not what it appears to be. But let there be no doubt that some of the policies by the Greens are absolutely destructive of our freedoms, and North Queensland has taken the major brunt. I mean, fishing, camping, shooting, boiling the billy, having a durry with your mates, going down the pub and having a few beers and talking to each other. All these things have been destroyed by the Wowser Brigade, the self-righteous, people that manned the Spanish Inquisition and the Salem witch hunts.
Catter's staff are typing up a list of 20 demands that his new advisers helped him draft.
What's that word now, man?
Electricity.
The 5 here I've got to go to?
Yep.
Okay.
So this one
But
is
he's
on,
saying here he's got
this is
here-
on mining tax.
Yeah. What are we saying here? No mining tax, no carbon tax, no emission
He just
tax.
wants that, does he?
The list is ready to go to the leaders.
The document is nearing completion, and we are hoping to be able to hand it to Mr Abbott this evening. Just wondering if he's likely to be in his office after the independents come out of the Treasury briefing.
Japan, you can see, had the deepest recession of the lot.
The Treasury briefing begins at 4:30 p.m. in the Cabinet Room. Treasury head Ken Henry briefs them first on the global financial crisis.
Nobody was expecting that sort of growth to be sustained even in the absence of the global financial crisis.
Our cameras are asked to leave for the key part of the meeting where Treasury officials give their analysis of both sides' costings. At 8:15 p.m, the three are back in Windsor's office. Just tell me what happened this evening.
We've got a document here, right, that indicates a $7 to $11 billion black hole. Right now, we're not being judgmental either way. We're just saying, righto, the question has been raised about a $7 to $11 $1,000 million black hole.
Who's black hole on which side?
Coalition. So Treasury advice is Labor's pretty close to the mark, but there are significant questions about the Liberal Party economics.
They've decided to send Treasury's analysis immediately to both parties.
Well, I think there's some explaining to do, and that's obviously why Tony Abbott's, climbing up the walls wanting to get to us before we obviously say anything. But I think it does indicate that they knew that there were issues here in terms of the accountability process.
Minutes later, the Liberal leader surprises everyone by arriving in the office himself.
Not too bad.
You got something for me?
I've got something for you, yeah. Should I go in?
Yeah.
No, thanks. Just, do you mind if I close the door? Thanks.
You're knocking off now?
I am, yeah.
Can I just ask you something, Mr Abbott, since you've caught us? This is obviously a difficult night for you. Do you accept the Treasury's assumptions, do you accept the conclusions that Treasury have come to about the hole in the budget?
On Treasury's worst assumptions, we still get a significant improvement to the bottom line. And I would strongly defend our costings vis-a-vis the Treasury. I'm sure they are not prepared to accept some of our reasoning, but I think our reasoning is eminently defensible.
The question is, though, did you have something to hide, and is that why you didn't show these costings to the independents in the first place?
To be honest, a bit of an offensive question, Sarah.
I'm only going on what they said.
It is a very offensive question.
Just picking up on what Mr Katter said.
It's an offensive question from you because the fact of the matter is all of our assumptions,
It's an unusual
I think will stand up to scrutiny, and I am very happy to defend them. Now, I accept the Treasury wants to argue with some of them, but they are all eminently defensible.
This morning, the Coalition defends itself against Treasury analysis of election costings, calculating a shortfall of up to $11 billion.
Next morning, the costings drama dominates the media coverage.
Tony Windsor there, and this is what the member for the New South Wales seat of Lyne, Rob Oakeshott, had to say when he arrived at Parliament this morning.
Running.
Well, the economy for all of us should be a deal breaker.
Outside in the parliamentary courtyard, the Coalition's chances are about to receive another blow.
I'll just fold that so sorry. Where's my way? We all right to go?
Ready when you are.
The newly declared independent MP for the Tasmanian seat of Denison has picked sides.
I've asked you to gather today. I have decided to support the ALP.
Andrew Wilkie had turned down a huge offer from the Coalition.
Mr Abbott made a number of commitments to me to get my support, some of which were very generous. For instance, Mr Abbott offered $1 billion to Tasmania to build a new hospital. The other issue...
Wilkie had informed Tony Abbott of his decision just before his press conference. Abbott was in a meeting with the independents.
Well, I think there are a few downward-looking eyes because all of a sudden, I think someone made the comment. It was a very good meeting, actually, but someone made the comment that, well, I think we've just upgraded your position, boys, because for Tony Abbott to become Prime Minister now, he needs the three people who haven't made a decision, and those three people were sitting in front of him.
If Tony Abbott becomes Prime Minister, and that is still possible.
It's Tony Windsor's 60th birthday. The independents are still celebrating together.
Because one or two or three of these independents are quite likely to come across. Now, Kerry, coming back to the question a moment ago, now remember, Labor only need two more to have an absolute majority. They don't need the three more that the coalition needs. So if they got
Wilkie's decision has changed the dynamic.
they've got a buffer.
I'd be proud to stand shoulder to shoulder.
Tony Abbott thought he'd secured Wilkie's vote. Now he needs the three amigos to vote as a bloc for the coalition to form government. Right now, that still seems possible. Bob Katter begins the day announcing his 20-point wish list to the press.
Mr. Katter, no ETS, no carbon tax, no mining tax. Aren't you effectively ruling out that you'll support Labor?
On the contrary, the first item here is the national energy grid.
It's immediately seen as confirmation he'll be backing Tony Abbott.
Just because that one project.
You're telling us not to interpret this list, this 20-odd list, as a list that's closer to the coalition.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it doesn't favour the coalition at all. I mean,
well, I'm just telling you on the front page. Well, you don't know what you're talking about then.
We were being asked this morning about Bob's list, and we hadn't seen it. Let's chat, Bob.
Yeah, right. Let's get going.
In spite of the impression created by his 20 demands, Katter insists to his colleagues they're still operating as a group.
Right, what have I got to take?
Tony Windsor, leaving to catch a plane home to Tamworth, is convinced.
We established the sort of ground rules amongst ourselves over the next day, which and there's a general consensus that if we can at all come to an agreement that the three of us go one way, I think we'd prefer that to happen. No absolute guarantee on that until we do a bit more homework, of course.
But if it looks like you're going to stick together.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't.
Over the weekend, with Windsor in Tamworth, an increasingly frustrated media pursues Oakeshott and Katter through the streets of Canberra.
Mr. Katter, how'd your meeting go with the Liberals?
Oh, look.
Oh, good on
Please,
you, Bob. Thank you.
No, just look, I've got to work a decision out here. I do not have time to be talking to the press, right?
Monday morning, the final round of negotiations is about to get underway. The pressure on all of them for a decision is intense.
As far as I'm aware, no decision's been made as yet, but they're certainly into the deliberation stage.
He hasn't made any decision as yet, so I don't know where you're hearing all that. There's nothing...
I just wanted to say thank you to the many people who've been involved in this short 2-week period.
Rob Oakeshott has secured one of his key personal goals, a deal with the major parties on parliamentary reform.
Well, this has been a difficult birth, but we have achieved a terrific outcome for the Parliament.
Are we doing the group hug?
The public theatre of the group hug guarantees this will be the day's big story.
That's taking things a little too far, I reckon.
But behind the scenes, a bigger story is unfolding.
Because we'll need to talk strategy as well, hey?
At the end of a long series of meetings, Abbott has come up with a massive final bid to win the independents' support.
Shit. Oh, well, people are starting to put their cards on the table and, being quite frank, the dollar figure for regional Australia from the coalition on paper is looking substantially larger than the offer from government. Now, I need to go through some notes and work out what's real and what's not, and compare that to things like treasury costings.
But it's big enough to make you stop and reconsider.
It is.
Oh, it's a substantial sum of money. But I don't think it makes or breaks the issue one way or the other, but I think it's something we need some clarification on as to how, if that money was directed correctly, just what could it do that's new in terms of regional development.
We had the revelation from Andrew Wilkie that $1 billion had been offered to Hobart Hospital. Are you experiencing the same thing, essentially? This is your Hobart Hospital?
We're aware, well, I'm aware of that, and that's where some deep thinking will be going on tonight. You know, whether it's a stunt to get someone across the line or whether it's a fair income push for better outcomes for regional Australia. Again, just judgment call.
And is that important to you too?
Yeah, it is.
Just then, Julia Gillard rings for Tony Windsor. She wants to send up Labor's more detailed offer in writing.
Okay, no, that'd be great because we were going to duck out about 7, so even with the typos in it won't matter. Yeah, Bob's gone to Sydney, but Oakeshott's here with me, so yeah, he's on Q&A tonight.
It's clear that Gillard has no idea which way they're leaning.
No, I think that'll suffice for the moment. Yeah. Mm. no hints. Yeah. Well, we'll have a game of cards one day. Okay. Righto. Thanks, Julia. Bye.
Day 17, the final day. Together in Katter's office, the three independents plan how the day will pan out.
Respectable on these august moments.
First order of business, Bob, before we talk about anything.
Yep.
Are you comfortable with the 3 o'clock announcement? Whatever it happens.
Absolutely, at the very absolute latest, yeah.
A press release is prepared for the afternoon announcement, with 3 names on it.
If one decides to separate and go their own way, well, they might have to change their decision if they do decide that the overarching aim here is for stability as the independent.
These guys, they really have no idea what's happening, do they?
Okay, enjoy Tamworth. Go to the coffee shop.
Because no one knows.
At 11:45, the independents convene in Windsor's office. They're putting their cards on the table for the first time.
Anyway, we've got to start to come down to the wire, I guess. Yeah. Now, anything we say now is highly confidential, of course.
Understood.
Well, how's it going to be highly confidential if we got the mic there?
Look, I think we be genuine, stability and outcomes.
I think we want to speak freely here. I don't want the mic here, please, fellas.
Bob Katter doesn't want his final arguments made public.
But the other night...
Minutes later, Tony Windsor brings the cameras back in.
And that becomes unfair to her.
But you can also then understand our position that we're not going to make a decision based on your judgment of your 20-point plan.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I think we're all in heated agreement that we're
got a good gift with words.
that we're going to end up. So you've made your call based on the 20-point plan. We can't be expected to make a decision on that. We need to sit down now and yarn about it.
Yeah.
You're locked in based on a scorecard out of 20 on either side.
Yeah. And the scorecard is just Dave Wallingham's. It's not a matter for debate.
Yeah.
All right. Can we just ask you gentlemen to leave? Is that all right for a minute? Yeah.
Oh, we're just trying to record the moment, though.
Yeah.
Bob. Can we just talk about...
So strategically, it's fair to say Bob's locked in, and we'll have...
With one side. I don't know, we don't really have to go which side it is at the moment, but it creates a bit of a difficulty.
And so now we're going to break down to the considerations of the numbers in light of that and the whole range of issues
I think we've got it.
that affects stability and outcomes from our position.
Katter asks the cameras to leave again and then leaves himself by the side door.
Yeah,
So it's 76, 74 either way, man.
Looks like it's down to us.
That's right, and then there were two. It's like a Highlander. There can only be one.
Two left. Two left,
and we have to hunt together, otherwise there's an election.
Oakeshott and Windsor are left to thrash it out.
But Abbott's had a good 48 hours and stumped up with some pretty attractive stuff for both national policy outcomes and local electorate outcomes.
Well, I think it's fair to say that they've both developed pretty good regional development packages.
It comes down to competing offers.
We've got three then, haven't we? Education, regional education, broadband infrastructure and renewable energy stroke, climate change stroke.
Yeah, secure and affordable energy.
What have we got on the other side?
Their Fair Go for Regions fund is of interest, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a...
Broadband's not as good. What about health? Not much in it.
Not much in it. There's similar
education,
policies.
not as good.
Not for regional, no.
Crucially, some of the coalition's election promises were funded by cuts to regional education.
Those that are poor have worse outcomes. Indigenous have worse outcomes. Those who live in regional Australia have worse outcomes. We don't need savings cuts to make that harder.
The coalition's wanting on that. They'll cut it.
As it has been from day one, choosing the side which will stay in power and therefore deliver on its promises to regional Australia is the key.
What do you reckon?
Look, I think both where our guts have been the last few days is the right call for the nation, in the full knowledge that it's a blister on both our asses.
And I think the Labor Party's probably the choice in that sense because they'll be the more frightened of the polls. I think, and hearing the rumblings in the backgrounds of the coalition, I think they'd be keen to get to the polls as quickly as possible.
That's right.
And if we can get all these education and health funds prioritised for regional people,
we've done our work.
We'd do a great disservice if we went to the polls.
Mm.
And sorry, Grant.
I'm really sorry. Ian Davidoff from BMC is here with documents for you and Rob.
A staffer from the Prime Minister's office arrives to bring them Gillard's final formal offers.
I haven't got my eyes on. Does that still say 9 point something?
It does. Thanks. Is Rob with you by any chance?
Yeah, Rob is.
Clearly.
He must be in the gents.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
They take a few moments to check the figures.
Yeah, you can't complain about that. That's a big package.
And then the deal is done.
All right. Righto. Good travelling with you.
Excellent, Rob.
Yeah, and
good on you.
Or almost done. Katter comes back one more time to work out their announcement.
So they're all asking if you're abstaining. Did you say something? Or?
No.
All right, they're all on to you.
No, what was anybody thinking?
When you, just before you close the door, can you okay the time so we can go around and do that visual?
Yeah, we'll just work out with Bob whether he's coming
going on in between. Yep, that's right.
Moments later, Katter is gone again.
He may or may not be there, but we can't send out a press conference, me know, with his name on it if we don't know if he's going to be there.
Downstairs, he calls an impromptu press conference. Dozens of reporters and crews jammed into his office.
Can we provide some chairs? There's some room over here. Can I just ask up the back there, Phil, is everybody in the room?
Yeah, everyone's here.
More or less as much as they can, right? Righto. Obviously I'm here and my two colleagues are not here.
None of the TV stations is prepared, so there are no pictures for live television.
So that's the coalition.
So you can confirm you're back in the coalition. I am confirming that I am giving, as a result of the 20-point plan and what was decided by the parties as their policies, that I will be backing the coalition. Yes.
A mishap in their own planning means Oakeshott and Windsor are also separated just before their press conference.
The two independents are making their way in.
Yep, we're just looking at that now. So
oh, that's bloody good of it. Yeah, well, let's go, man. Right, he's down there.
17 days after the closest election in our history, after countless briefings and meetings, offers, counter-offers and backroom agreements, all that remained was the announcement.
We're right to go?